Hey Curly Crafters, so I have a brand new design for you guys today. I used some of the fluorescent Cricut vinyl, heat transfer vinyl. If you're interested in how I cut this design, weeded it, and applied it, stay tuned because it's coming to you right now. I have a couple of tips and tricks in there. I really love this color combo. But yeah, so if you're interested in how I did this, go ahead and stay tuned because I'm going to stop talking and get to work. Alright, so I've already turned on my machine. So the first thing I'm going to do is retrieve my data. And I have created mine in the Canvas online workspace. So I'm retrieving it with the one that looks like a little wireless receiver. Because the DX already comes online ready. For the other models, you do have to purchase the online little pass or whatever, but the DX comes ready with it. So I've already done everything to my design in the Canvas workspace. I find that works best for me to go ahead and do that prior to sending my design to the machine, just because it's a lot easier to work on a bigger screen versus the smaller screen. This screen is a very nice size, but it is smaller than, let's say, my iPad or my desktop. So in order to load your mat, you want to have to line it up with the little nodules right here, and then you just hit the load button and it loads your mat right in. And so you want to make sure that the edges are nice and smooth. My mat, for whatever reason, just at the very corners, it is not as sticky. I always have to, right before I cut, restick it. So after it's loaded in, this design takes up pretty much the entire mat, so I put an entire sheet down. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in and select cut. Now these settings right here are the settings from the last cut that I did. I manually overrode the settings, so the machine will remember whatever settings you leave in it. So I have the cut speed set to 1. So you know that something is an automatic setting when it's highlighted in black. When it's not highlighted in black, that is a manual setting. I'm going to go ahead and set this back to the automatic setting, which is the auto blade feature. So I know the auto blade feature is 5. That's why it's highlighted in black. And then I'm going to change the cut pressure for the half cut. I'm going to take it all the way back down to auto. So anytime something is not set on the and the half cut is on, I always leave that on. I primarily use my machine to make heat transfer vinyl for t-shirts, so I always leave half cut on. So anytime it's not black, that means that is a manual setting that you have set and overrode the automatic settings in the machine. So I put mine back to the auto settings. I find I only have to use the auto settings for holographic vinyl and sometimes glitter vinyl because those two are thicker. The glitter vinyl usually cuts out fine on automatic settings, but the holographic vinyl, for whatever reason, the cuts are not deep enough when you leave it on the auto settings. So this is going to take 6 minutes to cut on the auto settings. The pressure is auto, the speed is 5, and half cut is on. And so now I have it set to cut. I'm going to hit start. So what it's going to do, it's going to measure first the mat, then it's going to measure my material depth. It knows I want a half cut, so it measures it, and then it starts to cut. And so it's gonna just kind of slowly cut. And when you put it, so the machine is very quiet, but when it's on a slower cut speed, it definitely cuts even quieter than what you currently hear. So I'm gonna come back in 6 minutes when I take this off of my machine and bring it over to my workspace to start weeding it and then getting it ready for a heat transfer. Alright, so here is the vinyl. It's been cut. I took it off my mat. So I pretty much used the entire sheet of vinyl. So I'm going to start weeding it. So normally I would take my scissors and cut off any excess, But this one used pretty much this entire sheet, so it's really barely any salvage. So I'm not gonna try and salvage anything. What I will use my scissors to do is help hold down the vinyl. So this was rolled up, so it continues to roll. And now I'm going to start weeding it. So what I like to do to weed is I like to pull it to a corner and then start weeding. So I'm gonna weed and stop talking so that this goes a little bit faster. All right, so here's the fully weeded design. It says clutch adjective, and this is the Urban Dictionary definition. Perfect, exactly what is needed, exactly when you need it. So when I am making my designs, I like to, once I'm done weeding it, or even throughout the weeding process, turn it around so I can make sure that I've weeded out all of the little pieces of the letters to make sure I don't have any vinyl that I missed weeding. So now I'm gonna preheat my Cricut Easy Press to look up your iron-on material, your base material, and then what you're using. So I am doing, this is the Cricut, this is the neon everyday iron-on. So I didn't see anything for neon, so I just chose regular everyday iron-on. And the shirt actually it's a pullover that I'm going to be putting on is a cotton poly blend, and I'm going to use my Cricut Easy Press mat as the backing. So I've already set my machine to start preheating to 315 degrees, and then once it's preheated, I'm going to preheat my material. Then I'm going to do gentle pressure for 30 seconds, flip the material and press for another 15 seconds, and then peel off, warm, and enjoy. So I'll be back with that entire little application process. Alright guys, so I've got my material laid out. I'm using a royal blue pullover. My area is kind of small, so it's hanging off just a little bit. What I do, I take the middle, I straighten it up, I take the middle, and I lay it over the top so that I can still see it, but it's out of the way. And then I smooth it. So I'm going to preheat this for 5 seconds. This knocks out any moisture as well as any wrinkles. I usually go a little bit longer than 5 seconds. I like to just make sure I get the entire area. Then I'm going to lay my design. So I'm going to do this in 2 different presses. Not going to try and do this all in one press, because as you can see, it's pretty big. So this is the middle of my shirt, and this is also the middle of my word. And then I make sure it's straight. And then I smooth it out. So I'm going to do the top half first, and then I'm going to come back for the bottom. And I usually use a sheet between the two, but I'm not going to do that today just because I want to see exactly what I'm pressing. So I'm not using the sheet. I'm just pressing directly onto the vinyl. As long as the instructions don't say that you need to put a sheet between the material, like a protective sheet. What are they called? Can't think of it. But as long as it's not said in the directions, you're fine if you don't use one. I just like to use one. I just think it's a good practice to have. And now I'm going to press the bottom. I'm going to go underneath, move my mat down just a little bit so I can press the bottom. And now I'm going to go and I'm going to and honestly, you could have done this in one press, but just to make sure everything is in an even pressure and even heat, for really big designs, I prefer to do 2 separate presses. But that's kind of like personal preference. And so once I'm done, 5 more seconds. I'm going to take and flip it over. Ooh, that's hot, hot, hot. I'm going to flip it over so I can press the back. I'm going to do it kind of the same way. So it's 15 seconds. So 2 15 seconds. I'm going to do 15 seconds towards the bottom, 15 seconds towards the top. Now I'm going to move it up. All right. So now what I'm going to do is turn my design over. It is a warm peel. So I'm going to let it cool down just a little bit. And I'll be back. All right, guys, here's our finished product. I think it looks really amazing. I thought that when I was peeling off the carrier sheet, I was recording. I was not recording. And some things you can only do once. But here is the finished product. It looks really, really good. I love the way the colors contrast. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have an amazing day.